ASI Wares Did You Know webinar series 12, um, on presented on November 8th, 2019. Today we will be covering these three topics. We're going to go over connections. I'm going to go over the connection stuff very thoroughly, how to set them up, how to use them, how to use the reports with them. Then we're going to finish off the report date range start page, sections 3 and 4. And the last thing we're going to cover is for services only. So it really doesn't pertain to foster care and residential, but it has to do with setting up residents and other adults that live in those, or other people that live in those residents for your clients. So those are the topics today. So let's go ahead and close that and get logged in, and we'll get started. So, while I'm logging in here, I do want to tell you, it looks like we're going to have another partner present on December's Did You Know webinar. Um, she's agreed to. Her name's Nana Olson, and she's with Alliance Human Services. So that'd be the one in December, the second Friday in December. And she's going to actually just talk about 10 or 15 minutes about uh, how the system helps them. So, uh, again, any other partners that would like to present on these Did You Know webinars, I invite you to please do that. Just shoot me an email. This is Paul. Uh, and we'll get you on the schedule. We'll talk about what you want to talk about, figure out how long, and get you on the schedule. Okay, so connections. I'm going to give you a brief overview of what connections are in case you've never noticed them before. So if you go to a client page, I went to the foster care census page. Again, connections are available on all three programs, foster care, residential, and services. But on the client page, down here on the left side, the bottom bar is called connections. Okay. I want to expand that out, and there's three options on here: expectations, log connection, and list connections. So to give you a brief overview of what drove the development of connections was a few years back, the federal government had a big push going on um, about keeping kids connected with extracurricular activities, cultural activities, and healthy connections. Healthy connections can be divided into multiple things. One could be like grandparents, uncles, aunts. Could be fictive kin, the neighbor that lives next door. The child always considered the husband and wife next door as uncle and aunt, even though they may not be a blood relative. Those are called fictive kin. So there was a huge push by the federal government to really keep kids involved in those things, and a couple of states really made it a huge push to their providers to track that stuff. So we had a couple of partners that called us about it. And, they commissioned this thing called Connections. So that's the first part of today's webinar. That's an overview of the first part of today's webinar. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on our table maintenance page to show you how to set this stuff up. Okay. Now, when we do our next release, this will be the default table maintenance page. We're doing away with the old one. We've had the beta version in production now for probably close to a year. And I think it's ready to go. So on this table maintenance or system maintenance page, just come in here and just type connections. And as you start typing, it's going to start matching things. There's really only two setups that you have to do to start using connections. You have the client connection contact type. This would be like phone calls, face-to-face, emails, letters, however your clients are keeping connected with those things. The second type is what type of connections. So I'm going to start with the type of connections. On this system, I've set up just a few. You really can't see them that well here because it doesn't wrap text or anything, but this is an extracurricular activity connection. This one is called Healthy Connections. I have two different types of sibling connections. One is sibling contacts within region, and the other is sibling contacts outside of region. Now, one of the states that we have partners in, it was very important to the state that they track these separately. And I thought, well, it's not a bad idea if to have a little more detail uh, about your connections. And then the last thing, I just set up one called test connection, just to show you that you're not limited to these types. All right. And actually on your system, if you're not already using it, when you come here, there won't be nothing here. And all you're going to see is this add section to start adding new ones. To add a new type, just put in what the type is. All right. And if it's for all your branches, if you're a multi-branch organization, it's for everybody, then put all. If it's just for one of your states, then just pick the state out of the drop-down list. Or if it's just for one branch, then pick that single branch. Keyword is just give it a few letters, like an abbreviation of what this is. Down the road, if you want us to start showing these on reports and stuff, we have some dynamic fields set up to show some basic stuff, but if you want some special type of reporting on these, the keyword could become very important. Now, if you add these and you already have some at the top, just copy this, put it here. Right now, there's only one option for each of these, and we don't default it to that because eventually there will be more. If you don't have any set up and you need to know what to put in these, just submit a help desk ticket. Zap, Brad, or Eric will shoot you an email back real quick to give you the values for these two fields. And then if you want to show these things on a status report, check that box. If you want them to show up on a face sheet, check that box. If you want them to show up on emergency forms, check that box. Now, the start date is very important. If you're just starting today and moving forward, you have nothing from yesterday or beyond that you want to catch up, then you can put today's date in here. But if you're going to go backwards, let's say you're 3 months into a reporting period and you want your staff to catch up those 3 months, then that start date needs to go past wherever you want to start logging this stuff. So if I was running an agency and I wanted my staff to start putting everything in back from March of this year, then I would probably put January 1st of 2019 here when I added that. Okay. So that is the first setup screen, is the connection type. Okay. The second one is on when you log an actual connection. What type was it? Was it face-to-face? Was it email? Was it other phone, video conference? These are very simple to set up to add a new one. Because if you're not using this already, this will be blank when you come in here. Just add what your new type is, put a start date. Again, remember the importance of that start date, and click add, and then you just added a new one to it. I'll go ahead and add one just so you can see it work. Click add, and you just added a new type of contact to that. I'm going to go ahead and leave that on there. And let me go ahead and close out of there. Now this opening a new tab, so this return is not going to return you back to this tab. So what I do, instead of hitting that return, I just close that tab and I'm right back to where I was. Let me go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and add, I'm sorry, I clicked on the wrong link. For type, I have a test connection. I believe I put a 1 there. I'll go ahead and add a second one just so you can see how you add these. And this one, I only want it to be for our Ohio branches. None of the other states are concerned with that. I'll give it a keyword here. And I'm going to go ahead and copy this form. The actual form name is youthconnectedit.aspx. Again, if you can't remember that, just submit a ticket. And, on your ticket, be specific. Hey, I'm trying to set up a connection type and I need the values I need for the edit form or report form. Now this new type, I'll go ahead and show it on the status report, but I don't want to see it on the face sheet and I don't want to see it on the emergency sheets. And I'm only doing that so you can see that you can have different types show up in different places. So there's that test connect too. So that's how you would add a second one. If you add one erroneously, you can hit a delete if you have the right permissions. Now, if this has been here for months and months and months, don't delete it. If you don't want to use it anymore, just put your end date in here and hit save. Right? Then that's no longer an option when people are entering connections. So that's how simple it is to set these up to get started with them. Just go to the system maintenance page. Again, that is under system administrator, table maintenance. In the search window, just start typing connection. You'll see these pop up, and as soon as you see them pop up, you can quit typing. You don't have to go any further. If you want to use the categories, those are probably, I would assume, under case management. So here they are: client connection, contact type, client connection, contact, client connection type, client connection, contact type. I always just use the search. It's so easy to use. So, so that once you do those two things, your staff can start logging connections, right? To look at this in detail, we're going to go ahead and go to the client page. So I'm going to click on Tom Cruiser here, and we're going to be looking at his client page. And again, connections is down here at the bottom. Now, in case you don't remember, now if I click on the word placement here, it actually opens up that edit a placement screen, and it expanded this out. Okay. If you just want to expand and collapse, just click over here to the right, and all you're doing is expanding out and collapsing those regions. Right. So now when we look at the client page and we expand out connections, there's three options here. We have what an expectation is. We have where you can actually log one, and then we have where you can run a report on them for this client. Okay. Now we're going to start with expectations. It's exactly what it is. These are the types that you expect this client to have. Okay. Now, all three of these types started on 10/2/2012. And they don't have to. Maybe when the client was first placed, there was a sibling contact outside a region that was supposed to be happening, was expected to happen. Therefore, that's why we labeled it expectation. All right. And then, 2 years later, they wanted him to start seeing his uncles and aunts or fictive kin or whoever else. Then that could have said October 2nd, 2014. And then let's say last year you added test connection, so that start date would be then. Now, so Tom's cruising along. At some point, they say, okay, this is not going to happen anymore. Well, then you can come in here and end that by putting a date in here and save. And then that one would no longer be an option. To add a new expectation. So he has three already. He has sibling contacts outside a region. He has healthy connections, and he has test connection 1. To add a new one, just come down here, pick it from the drop-down list. That's that list that I just showed you on the table maintenance page. Notice that the test connection 2 is not showing up here. This is because the start date was today, so it won't show up till tomorrow. Okay. So pick what the new one is, and we'll say this started last month. Let me go back to July or something, just so it's a different month. We'll go to June. Started June 19th. All right. So you just added a new expectation. Okay. And if there's another one you need to add, go ahead and add it here also. Now I'm going to go ahead and delete that one off there because I don't want that much clutter on this. Okay. Now, the only reason I deleted that is because I just put it on there. I know there's been nothing logged under that. If I came in here and deleted test connection 1, well, I have some connections I logged under test connection 1, so we can see those. It's not going to know what type it was because you deleted the value of the type, right? So if you want to turn these things off, again, do not delete. Put an end date and hit save. All right, so that is the expectation link. This is what we're expecting the client to have. All right. Now, to actually log one of these, we'll say that last night, Tom had one of these test connections last night. So we're going to go to log connection. We're going to say it was last night at 9 o'clock p.m. And it was a test connection 1. Okay. The type was face-to-face. Blake. Visited with Blake. Okay. Now, again, I didn't get real creative on my narratives. But you're gonna, you know what you want in these. I would probably think that you'd want to know where it happened at. How long did it last? Was it, good visit? Did it go awry? Stuff like that. But anyhow, this is what you can log when you log a connection. Okay. Um, this little button here is a spell check. Most browsers today will spell check as you type. So as you can see, I didn't put a space there. So I underlined everything that I spelled before wrong. So let me correct that. If I highlight or right click on that, it'll tell me here. So, okay, so let's go ahead and save that. And I just logged a connection. Now it leaves you here in case you have another one to log. Okay. So you can actually just log multiple without having to come over here and navigate somewhere. So that's how you enter one. All right. Now, if you want to run a report on just Tom, click on this list connections. All right. If I just hit go, it's going to default back to 5 years, and it had 3 years. So here's a list of all the connections that match that date range. So here you can see them on 3/16 at 9 a.m. or on 3/28 of 2016, 9 a.m. Had a healthy connection face-to-face with fictive Uncle Jim. On 6/28 at 9 a.m., face-to-face visit with grandmother Grace. 9/17, 8 a.m., healthy connection face-to-face with fictive kid Uncle Jim and Aunt Betty. Tom met Jim and Betty at McDonald's. Now, this healthy connection only happened 3 times. So it's going to give you a total here. During that date range, he had 3 healthy connections. Then you start the next type. On 6/28 of 2017, 9 a.m., he had a sibling contact outside a region. It was face-to-face. And visit is spelled wrong, but it was with Brother Paul, and it went very well. So that was a sibling contact outside a region. He only had 1. Right? And then we have the next section, the test connections. Okay. Now, each one of these has an edit button and a delete button. Right? If you don't have high enough security level, you're not going to get this delete, and you may not get the edit button. But if you click on the edit, sorry about that. If you click on the edit, then the actual contact that was entered will pop up and show you what is there. All right. Now, if you need to change it, go ahead and change it. When you're done, hit the save button. Now, notice it didn't take you back to your list. You can get back there a couple of different ways. You can right click and hit your back button a couple times. Oh, let's not do it that way. Just come down here and list connections again and hit go, and then you're right back there. So that is the edit button. Again, the delete button will delete the connection. Let me come down here and let's just do one of these. So I'm going to hit delete this test connection, and you are prompted to make sure that's truly what you want to do. So let's go ahead and hit OK. And now that one I deleted is gone. The last option you have on here is print a list. And all it's going to do is take those results and make a printable report for you. So you could actually, if these are important to your agency, then you could have somebody go in there and print them out monthly, quarterly, whatever. So for the clients and put them in their files. Okay, the last button on here just is what it says. If you only want to look at the last 30 days, click that button. You can come in here and look at the last 30 days. You can also, when you click that last 30-day button, it adjusts the date range. You can also specify your own date range. I just going in the dates itself. Go, and then you only get the ones for this year. So, okay, so that is the client page. Now, you don't want to have to, let's say you had 3 connections from last night. You don't want to have to come to 3 different client pages necessarily to enter those. From the census page. So here's the foster care census page. It's the same for the residential census page, and it will be the same for the services census page. In the drop down, there's a link to enter a connection. So let's go ahead and click on that. Again, this is a service type, right? And it's telling me that this particular client don't have any types set up. So this client don't have sibling contacts, healthy connections, test connection one, test, nothing set up for this client. So, you know, you really shouldn't enter this. You should go to that. At that point, you'd have to go to the client page to set up that expectation. So let me go ahead and go back to the foster care census page, and we'll look at Tom Cruisers. So if I come in here, I hit a connection. Here's the input screen. So I can come in here and I say, we'll say this happened at 9 o'clock this morning, and it was a healthy, well, let's say it was a test connection one, and it was face to face. I'm just going to put met with, and then connection, just to save a little time. So I can go ahead and fill this out, enter that or log that connection. As soon as I'm done, if there was another one from Tom, I could go ahead and enter it. So let's pretend there was one. Again, we're looking at today. So that was at 9. We'll say this was at 11. And it was a healthy connection. It was face to face. I'm just doing this to save a few minutes. All right, so I can save that. And if you had a third one to enter for Tom, you could go ahead and enter the next one. Once you're done, this was what's called a pop-up window, okay? Once you're done, just close that. Now, let's say that Miley was on my caseload too, and I wanted to log one for her, then I could come right here. Again, she don't have any set up, so I'd have to go set up the type first, okay? But you could actually go ahead and enter that. I think Phil has some set up. No. Anyhow, you know, you can enter for different kids right from the census page. And again, that keeps you from having to step through each kid's client page to enter these. Let me go ahead and set up an expectation for Brutus, and then I'll show you how you can enter. We'll say this started this month. Okay, so now we're back to the census page. That when I clicked on Brutus' name, it opened in a new tab. All right, so as soon as I'm done, I just close that tab and I'm right back to the census page. So I come back here to Brutus. You know, I just got done entering Tom's. Now I can come down here and enter Brutus's connection. We'll say this was at 11 also. Now he only has one type set up as extracurricular activities. You know, for extracurricular activities, you might want to have like a type contact or a connection contact type as maybe in person, right? Hmm. Okay, so go ahead and hit save. If you had another one for Brutus, you could go ahead and enter it there or go to the next child. Now, something about some of these, like the one I just entered was extracurricular activity. So it says, you know, Brutus attended soccer practice. You know, if you want a little more information about his soccer team, like the fact that it was the soccer team he played for the last 3 years, then we could add additional fields to the youth demographics page, to the case info page, different areas. We could add additional fields where you can spell out that, you know, he's been part of the soccer team for 3 years. That way you're not like re-entering every time you log a connection. So, you know, data is the key to this. So you can enter connections from a client page, or from the client page, you can set up the connections for that client. You can log connections, you can run reports. From the 3 census pages, again, there's foster care census, residential census, and services census. You can log connections, and that you do that over here in the action column. Okay, now we have a report that goes out and looks at those connections. So if you come up here to administrative, go to reports, come here to client connection activity by date. You come in here and you put in a date range, and I'm just going to do this year. Now I'm going to go back quite a few years because I want to try to get some meat to the report. So you put in your date range. If you want to do it for one pair, then you pick one pair. If you want to do it for just your branch, leave that say default or pick your branch, or you can change this to all. And then obviously you do have to pick what program you're doing it for. So I'm going to leave that set at foster care. These work on residential and they also work on services. Then if you want to put the results are going to show up on your screen, but if you want to be able to put them into a spreadsheet, just click that button first, hit your search, and it's going to go out for that whole search criteria and find all the connections made. All right, so here we go. These are the results. So that this report has sections to it. So these are the connections made between that date and that date. So it's going to show you the client. It's going to show you some basic information about the client, and then it's going to show you the connections that happened during that date range and who entered them. Okay, and then it'll give you a total here. Now, for some reason on Tom, all his are duplicating. We've done something on our research system here. It makes his duplicate, but they won't do that on your system. Then you have, so you start off, you have Jared. Here's Brutus, that one or two I just entered. All right. Then you have Tom. Then you have Duke Gold and then Mike Ware. All right. So here's Mike's totals, but then you have a total for your branch. All right. Now the next section is going to show you who's set up for what. Okay. So if you look extracurricular activities, there's 6 of them set up, but there's only 3 clients. So some of these clients have multiple ones set up. I don't know why. Um, um, so you get one of those for each type. All right. The next one is the type counts. So through here you have through this, or in this section, you have the types of contacts that happened during that date range. Right? So you have 1 email, 19 face-to-face, 3 others. This is where I said, like, for extracurricular activities, you'd have a type called in-person. Well, you would see in-person sitting here if there was any of those logged. Now this one will do a combination of both of these, right? So for other type of contacts, you had 1 client, but you had 3 of them entered, and they were the type of connection. It was extracurricular activities. So it breaks it down that way also. And then again, if you wanted the spreadsheets, you just click these buttons. It'll take those results and put them in a spreadsheet. Then the last thing we have here is what were your expectations that were set up during that date range. So if you can look, here's all our different types of expectations. All right. Here's clients that had them set up during that period. If you have 400 clients and all 4 of them for your date range had something set up, then you're going to see all 400 clients here, and you're going to see, whatever it was they had set up. And then you have down here totals for those. So that's the reporting. And again, the last thing on this report, you have the CSV. If you want to pull all these into Excel, you can do that. So it's a real nice connection report. One of our partners helped us build this report to be able to analyze what was going on with these connections. And actually, she had to report these stats to the state, and, so that she would just pull the stuff right off this page and put it right into the state system. So, okay, that's connections. Our next topic is we're going to finish that report date range start page. I've always wanted to get through all these reports on here. Last month we did the first 2 sections. This month we're going to do the bottom 2 sections. I'm just going to kind of go right on down the list. Now, some of these are specific to only one or two programs. All right. So I will let you know what programs these are specific to. Pretty much all these here, the drop downs for program, you only have the option of foster care, but some of the reports in here work across all programs, and I'll let you know which ones do. So the very first thing here we're not going to look at is all state reimbursed training. This only is for Ohio agencies. In Ohio, the state reimburses foster parents for training, and the agencies also get reimbursed when they train foster parents up to certain numbers. Well, this report would show you all the reimbursable trainings in Ohio during that date range. So we can kind of skip that one. Let's go ahead and look at discharges planned and unplanned. Again, this section is strictly foster care only. Let's go ahead and look at this. So this is going to, for your date range, it's going to go out and look at all your discharges during that date range. And it's going to show you total by branch, how many were unplanned, or I'm sorry, it's going to give you a total of planned discharges, total of unplanned discharges. If somebody forgot to select plan or unplanned, you'll see those here, but then you have a total of discharges, and then you have a little chart that goes along with it. Now, if I was to click on a branch, notice the chart changes to that branch, okay? So if I come down here and look at Lexington, they only had one plan, no unplanned, so everything's green. If I go to Norfolk, they had 3 planned, 1 unplanned, so you can see the red is a quarter of that chart. So that's unplanned, planned discharges early in development of the system. We're going to do a lot of charts and graphs. We got away from that because everybody wants it differently. So a lot of our reports now, we don't do that. They go straight to Excel, so you can actually build your charts and graphs how you want them. The next report in this section is home license status details. So let's go ahead and open this up so you can see it. It opened on my other screen. Let me pull it over here. So for that date range, Canton had 9 new homes. They closed a total of 3 homes, and one of their homes went through a relicensure. Columbus had 1 new and none closed or none relicensed. Dayton had 16 new homes, 15 closed homes, and 17 homes that were relicensed. Lexington had 24 new homes, 2 were closed, 15 were relicensed, and then Norfolk had 1 new home, 1 closed, and none relicensed. So this report only gives you totals. If you want the actual details, you'd come up here to the previous section. We have a home license status details. I'm gonna go ahead and show you that. Let me kind of run it for almost the same period, November 1st to November 8th. Hit go. This report, the difference between those two, the first one in section 3 only gives you numbers. This one actually gives you names, okay? So, and this one is only the branch that you select in your window. So when I ran that report, I only had my default branch, which is Dayton, selected. So if I would have picked all, then it would have had the same numbers of homes that this one did down here. So, okay, so that's the reports. There's only 3 in section 3. Again, this all state reimbursement training, that's specifically for Ohio foster care agencies. Let's go ahead and go down here to the next section. So the next section, you only have 2 filters. You have your branch filter and you have your program filter. I'm just going to leave this say default, and we're going to look at foster care. Most of these are foster care only reports. So let's go ahead and we're going to go right down the list. The first thing is active home labels. I hit go. It's going to open up a sheet that actually you can send to a printer. And if you're using Avery 5167 compatible labels, then these will print right on those labels, and you can slap them on packages or envelopes or whatever and shoot off through the postal system. The next report is the same report as the one we looked at, only it'd be homes that presently right now do not have any kids. Okay, So if you just want to make mailing labels for your empty homes, then this would do the same as that, only it's the homes that don't have any kids. So let me go ahead and open that up so you can see that it works. And notice the other one was 3 or 4 pages long. This one's 1 page. So these are your homes that presently do not have kids. Again, it's Avery 5167 mailing labels is what those are compatible with. The next one is the active home phone list. So let's go look at this real quick. Very nice report. Most reports in this section were customer driven back in the early days of our system. So on this report, you're going to have, and it opens up in Word. Okay, so you can actually, if you enable editing, you can come in here and do stuff with this report. If you wanted to change that to home phone, that title, then you can just type in their home. You can actually change these reports at this point. But all your homes are going to be on here. It's going to give you some information about each parent. At the top, it's going to give you the address, city, state, home phone, owner phone, state ID, and status. Then it's going to have information about each parent, their email address, their cell phone numbers, and their work phone numbers. Very, very nice list. So the next report is available beds. We'll open this up and look at it. You guys hopefully are very familiar with these. So these are all your active homes. On this report, you only have your active homes, okay? Or I'm sorry, licensed homes. So you're going to have the homes, you're going to have their available column, how many beds they have available. Right now, they are 2 over their license or desired capacity. Right, you have what their license capacity is. So they're licensed for 2. Right now, they only desire 1, but right now they have 3 kids placed. So we take the desired capacity, subtract out this, and that's what gives you that number. That's why it's a -2. 1 minus 3 is -2. Here are the 3 kids. Here are the biological children that live in the home. Here are the number of adopted children. We have somewhere down on our development list is to change these to where you actually, it'll look like this. You'll have the kids' names. There'll be links. I'll have some information about those kids. And then you have a notes field and then supporting issues. So every home on here that's active is going to show up on this. Down at the bottom, you have some totals. We're going to be adding the total for the total number of homes too. Right now, that total is not on here, so that'll be added somewhere down the road. So that's the available bed report. Next one is client care overdue. Now this returns overdue client care items for all your programs, not just foster care. I have foster care, residential, and services. So you have the client name. Here are the items that are overdue and where the due dates were. So, if you have regularly occurring staff meetings, it'd be a good report to take in that staff meeting. You want to talk about putting some of your bad case managers on the spot, this definitely put them on the spot if they're not doing their job when you present this at a report. So the next one is home license anniversary by date. This is going to give you a list of your foster parent or foster homes sorted by license date when their expiration dates are. So here's that list. Again, every home will be on there by license anniversary date. I can't remember if it was expiration or anniversary. The next one is the same, only it's sorted by parent name. So when you look at this one, you'll see the A's first, the B's next, so on and so forth. So Baker's, Braverman, Brett, Bird, it's alphabetical. So next one, home roster active. That means it's only your active homes. And on this, we have this first column tells you the age accepted, sex accepted, their capacity licensed, and capacity desired, parents' names, address, city, state, so on and so forth. So very nice report. The next report is the same one as that. This only where it will return homes where the status is active. This one is going to give you the homes that are pending, inactive, and active. Okay. It's going to give you all the homes that it does not have a closure date for their license. Same information. This one, um, again, would be any of them that don't have a closure date sorted by name. Okay. I should say last name. So, parent directory. I know a lot of people probably are not using this, but let's go ahead and take a look at it. The ones I've talked to that do use this, I'll tell you what they use it for, and they say they're received very well. So this will go out and it's going to make a parent directory. It's going to take all your homes that are active, available to take kids right now. It's going to put their first names here, city and county. All right. As long as you have that information filled in. The Jay and Peggy here don't have their county filled in, so it's blank. Then it takes the parent bios. You ever wonder what that little bio link on a parent is? This is where it's used. It's used on these directories. And then if you're uploading photos of your parents, then they show up here too. So every one of your parents will be on this parent directory report. Here's a set that don't have bios and they don't have pictures. And again, that county's missing. That very nice report. Now, what are they being used for? I know for sure, I've talked to 4 executive directors personally that they have their staff send those into the payers, the people placing the kids with you, so that they, when you submit the Smith home for a child, they can actually open up that parent directory and read something about the Smiths, see a picture of them. The bios, if you want to use that, the bios should be about the people themselves. You write a bio for the primary parent, you write a bio for the secondary parent. It should be about them, their interests, their strengths, who are these people, what they do, who they are. So that's parent directory. The next one is going to show you all the parents and other people involved with a home where the driver's license expiration date is blank. Okay. All those nice dashboards we have, they don't work if the data is not there. So here's a quick, easy way you can find those people that the data is missing for the driver's license. The auto insurance works the same way. All right. So if they don't have their auto insurance expiration date filled out, they'll be on this list. Okay. Parent resource list. Now this one is going to give you a report of parents, and here's what you get. Okay. But the only parents that will show up on here, let me show you real fast. I'm going to go to find a home, and I'm going to open that in a new window, and I'm going to go to the Grand Walker home. The only ones that show up on here are the parents where this checkbox is checked. So I'm looking at Luke Grand Walker, the parent details page, and if this is checked, he will show up on that report. Okay, if that's not checked, he will not show up on that report. The purpose of this report is we had a partner, they get some of their seasoned parents to volunteer to be a resource parent. So you have new foster parents, brand new at it. It's 1 o'clock in the morning and kids acting out, and these parents are like scratching their heads. What do we do? What we do? They can look at this list, and these people agreed to allow new parents to call them anytime, day or night, for advice on handling those type of things. Very clever idea, I thought. So next one is pending tasks overdue. Again, this is going to show you all the pending tasks that are overdue. All right. So you don't have to, if you don't want to go to your dashboards to look at those will be on your dashboard too, but you can come here. Staff roster, again, very nice roster report of your staff. So here's all your staff that match your criteria for the search. Shows your work, cell phone, home phone, who they report to, and what level are they. So, okay. And the last one on this is weekly home. Now, this is a real nice report. This is one of the original things on our system. It's still here today, and it's still used quite regularly. So now this is going to give you all your licensed homes on here. All right. So each home is going to show you this information. So let's just kind of dig into this a little bit. So we got Bob and Carol Baker. They live at 1745 High Street in Lexington, Kentucky with that zip. Their case manager is Brenda Berner. Their license starts date was 3/4/2020. It ends on 3/4/22. They were initially licensed in 2015. Here's their home phone, alt phone. They live in this school district. They accept ages 0 to 12. Capacity, two license, one desired. They accept all sexes, all races. They are treatment certified. Status is they're active. And there was a comment. The comment says not accepting additional placements at this time. Then you have some information about both parents. Okay. The primary parent is Carol. Carol, primary always shows up first. Secondary parent is Bob. All right. Has their race, cell phone number, work number. Then it show you the currently placed kids in the home. All right. Then it shows you other people associated with the home. And then, like I said, all your licensed homes will show up on this. So it's a fairly long report. It's 11 pages on our test system here, but it's a very nice report. And again, it is one of the original things we did on this system way back. So that finishes out the report date range start page. Again, each section has multiple reports. Each section has different filters. Very nice reports on there. So let's go ahead and close that tab. Now, the last thing we want to do, if you're not an agency that's providing community-based services, you just do foster care residential, you probably could drop off this, because the last thing I'm going to cover today is strictly for our partners that provide like home-based services, counseling, community-based services, it's other things other than just foster care and residential. So what I want to cover is on our service clients, you can actually track where they live and other people that live in that residence. Okay. So we'll go ahead and start. I'm going to, first of all, put this on the services census page. And then what I'm going to do, we're going to go to find a residence under services. If that's not turned on for you and you're providing services, then it's just go to your user profile and turn that menu on and make sure you select those two things. But I'm going to open this in a new tab. All right. I guess I just moved it to a new window. That's okay. So now when you come here, again, I clicked on add a resident. All right. When you come here, everything's blank. All right. But like everything else on here, before you add a residence, make sure it's not in the system. So I started typing 235 here. It actually come up here and show you some things. But you could even put a star here. You can hit search, and it's going to go out and find those. Okay. Now, if it's already here, then you don't have to hit add residence. If it's not here, then go ahead and hit add residence. Now I'm going to go ahead and add another one in here, or add a new resident. I did 235 Quick Road. County is Clark. And there's no more. This would be like Suite 200 or whatever. New Carlisle, Ohio. 45344 school district. Tecumseh. Home phone. I have an RNet phone. These are additional fields. All right. So you actually, your agency can add fields to this screen. The standard fields stop right here. Those are the standard fields. These are additional fields. So you can add additional, well, the notes field is a standard field too, but you can add more fields to this screen. All right, I'm going to go ahead and click one of these additional. I'll leave that say yes. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit save. All right, so now I just added that address. Let me show you something. This is going to be for mapping functionality. It's going to come later, and you actually can, this will come later. These are not turned on yet. Okay, so now I just added that residence, and it was 235 Quick Road. So now if I come back here and doggone it, I already had that in there. Let's go ahead and hit search. Let me edit this one, make them different so I don't get confused. Okay, save. Okay, so let me do my search again. So now you can see they're different, right? So now you just, all you did at that point is you added a new residence. Okay, now if you click on the residence, it adds some more stuff here. So as you can see on this 235 Danbury, we actually showed that there's some clients that live there. Okay, so if there was another client that lived there, then all I got to do is start typing a name in here, hit search, and it'll find those clients. All right, now, you know, that really shouldn't say son, that should say client. But let's say we're going to add Tom Terrific in there. Now I got 2 clients that live at that residence. Now, if you want to add other people that live there, then you can come over here and add other people that live there. So right now, Tom Wilson and Betty Wilson live at this address too, and they are the father and mother. Okay, so if you want to add somebody else, just start typing here, search. If they're there already in here, you'll see them. If not, just click this add in a dot. Now that add in a dot, I'm going to move this out of the way. Go back here a second. Is the same as this. Okay, so you can add a dots, just add a dots, or you can actually go to the residence itself and start adding a dots. So let's go ahead and add George. I don't want to use that. I'm just going to type a birth date in here. He's Caucasian male. You know, put in whatever you want to put in about that dot. Hit add. Oh, I don't have the email rule set up, so I actually can't add one from here. But yeah, you could add George and then add him to that residence and put in that relationship. Again, start dates, end dates. If this client was discharged, just put that end date in here. If George left, George left that residence, then take him out, right? But you can actually build up who all lives at that residence. Okay, so that is very simple introduction to how these 2 things work. Now, what are they good for? Why would you be doing this? Well, when you're doing residential and you're doing foster care, you know where these kids are. But when you're providing services, you don't necessarily know where the client lives. So let's go ahead and we're going to click on Justinian Bieber. This is the client page. If we expand out the placement bar, there's a residence link. All right. So we can come in here and say, I want to add where this client lives. And I'm going to just do a search for 235. So here's that Danbury address. So I can come in here starting, we'll say here, he lived there. Okay. Now, if for some reason he moved somewhere, then just come in here and find where he moved to. Let me find that valid. I guess I'm going to stick with the 235 stuff. And we'll say, so he started off on Danbury on 8/12/2019, but let's say he moved here today. So now you can start tracking where those clients and services are actually laying their head down at night. Now, we can take some of this information These would be custom reporting type things, but if you wanted to add some of that resident stuff to any of the reporting type stuff you have on the system, just submit a ticket. And if it has to be a project, then we'll let you know that. If it's something we can do real quick, we'll do it real quick. So that ends the webinar. Oh, one last thing real quick. On table maintenance, the additional fields on residents, if you go to table maintenance, just start typing residents here. And you're going to see residents additional fields. So you can just come in here and add your additional fields. Once you add them, click on them, and then you can actually set them up to what they are. Okay, that ends the webinar. Thank you for participating, and I'll be sending out the link to our YouTube channel when I get it uploaded. Bye-bye.